sources are quite something. Proposed import duties up to, well, a staggering 70% on some goods.
Yeah, 70%.
And maybe the most crucial detail, these are slated to kick in August 1st. That's really, really soon, not some far-off plan.
Exactly. And what sources really emphasize is not just the scale, that 70% is huge, how direct it is. It seems like these aren't just broad tariffs across the board.
Yeah.
That 70%, for instance, it looks like it could be aimed, strategically at specific high-value sectors in those countries, maybe things like key tech components or manufacturing inputs the U.S. relies on.
So hitting where it hurts, potentially.
Sort of like finding a strategic choke point, yeah. It's a clear signal meant to disrupt supply chains and, well, force everyone to rethink these trade relationships. It definitely raises a big question. What happens when major economies feel targeted like this so directly?
And they definitely seem to feel targeted. The reactions are coming in strong and very vocal. China, for one, has already vowed pretty robust retaliation. That's significant. And the EU, they're warning about countermeasures, too, especially if the U.S. follows through on even a baseline 10% tariff plan that's been discussed.
Right.
And, sources suggest these countermeasures aren't just talk. Often they target specific, maybe iconic American products.
Like what?
Well, things like bourbon, perhaps, or agricultural goods, soybeans maybe, even big industrial exports like aircraft parts.
So hitting politically sensitive areas in the U.S.
Exactly. It's designed to apply maximum pressure economically and politically back home in the U.S.
And if we sort of zoom out a little, connect this to the bigger picture. These aren't just random events happening in isolation, are they?
No.
They're tangled up in this really complex web of global trade. There are underlying tensions in economic policy that have been, well, simmering for quite a while.
That makes sense.
So this talk of retaliation, of countermeasures, it's not just about the tariffs themselves. It really highlights how interconnected everything is. One move by one country can genuinely spark a chain reaction, a very specific one, sometimes across continents, affecting industries, workers, consumers far away. It really shows the delicate balance of global economic power, doesn't it?
That idea of a chain reaction is, it's striking. And thinking about how interconnected it all is, it brings us to the next question, right? What does all this actually mean for you, our listener? For individuals, for businesses? What are the kind of tangible impacts we should brace for?
Well, the most direct one for consumers probably is the potential for higher prices.
Right.
I mean, if a 70% tariff hits, that cost has to go somewhere. Often it gets passed right down the chain to the person buying the final product. Electronics, clothes, you name it.
So potentially hitting the wallet?
Potentially, yes. And for businesses, especially those relying on global supply chains or exporting goods, this creates a lot of uncertainty, higher costs,